Michigan.
Hi there, come on in. What kind of winter do we have this winter? For crying out loud, we've planned ice fishing trips for the past couple of weeks. The ice is iffy at best. No snow in our favorite rabbit hunting spots, so that has to wait. So what are we going to do? We're going to show you what a real winter is like. The winter of 1985. Every time we went fishing, it snowed up a storm. Literally. We have a classic sturgeon spearing adventure on Black Lake. Plus, we'll review last year's outdoor fair at Houghton Lake, which is a preview of the 1992 fair coming up this June. This and more, so stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night, time for Michigan Outdoors. Higher. If there's any question in your mind that picnic season is over with for now, just follow the Michigan Outdoors cameras here during the winter of 1985. We have on our schedule to bring you sturgeon spearing right now, and we've been having a lot of trouble this winter, I got to admit. The snow is thick, it's deep, it's heavy. Right now it's February 13th. This is a week before this show is going on the air. Remember the big storm we had then? Well, we trudged our way north. Up 27. We had planned a 3.5-hour trip to get to Indian River, and Bob Garner, what happened?
Well, it only took 7 or 8 hours, but who's counting?
That's the kind of winter we had in 1985. Every time we went fishing, a blizzard hit. Quite a contrast to this year when we can hardly find any safe ice. But just for old time's sake, let's go back to 1985 to Black Lake and show you the rest of the story. Here they come, the last of Bob Garner pulling up the rear. Well, we made it.
We sure did.
Hey, this wasn't as bad as I thought. There's a little slush here around the shanty.
About 8 inches deep.
Yeah, but it's better conditions than you thought it was, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, much better. Yeah.
Well, here they come in that old skidoo. You don't see them like that anymore.
Right.
A single ski. He's making it.
Double track.
Yeah. All right. The whole group made it. Oh, look at Bob Garner, the country gentleman.
There you go.
Let's go over. Oh, hey, that's great. Don't knock that off. That looks great.
That's worth the price of admission, that right out.
Yeah, look at the north. Well, come on, Bob. We got to get you warm in here.
I can barely wait.
Huh?
I can barely wait.
Watch that slush.
Oops. Yeah.
The slush is kind of rugged around here. Well, here we are. This is going to be our home for the next couple hours. How many of us can fit in here? 3 or 4? And the camera? Oh, and here we are. Oh, Hey, well, this is real nice. Look at that water there. Oh, turn around.
The other thing,
you can't,
Fred, because the lens is all fogged up.
Oh, well, my glasses are a little bit fogged up.
That's okay. I'm all white anyway.
Yeah,
Nobody
this is
noticed.
Bob Garner here at close range. Well, I guess we're going to have to... Oh, well, we got unfogged and thawed by ducking inside. Gil Archambault and the rest of the crew put their efforts into moving their shanties closer to the north shore over the shallower water. See, the problem was that for the past few days, the blizzard had knocked the bottom right out of the sturgeon spearing. Nobody had seen anything. And when you're peering down through a relatively small hole in the ice into a relatively large lake, you have to be in an area where the sturgeon are moving in order to attract him to your decoy. Well, Gil already speared a 115-pounder earlier in February, and he got within 100 feet of where our shanty was located. We were in an area that used to be good, but since that time, nobody's seen anything in that area. Gil thinks they're in closer, so the shanties are moved. It's kind of an interesting process to watch. It's sort of like watching a construction site when they demolish a building or something. It's just interesting to see how they do it. And that's how they get rid of that big chunk of ice. Then they pull the shanty over the hole, watching where they step, of course. It looks like we picked up a little lens fog right in the middle of the picture there. Well, that's what happens to equipment and weather like this. And then to seal out the light, they pack snow all around the base of the shanty. See, it has to be dark so you can see the bottom, so you can see when that big sturgeon comes through. No, we didn't get one today. But fortunately, Clarence Archambault did have some home videotapes of a sturgeon that Gil speared last winter when he was in that big 22-foot shanty. Always exciting to watch.
There's one, Gil.
Where?
Just to the right of the decoy. Just right on bottom. Right to the right of the decoy.
There it is. Okay.
Ooh,
man,
I don't know. I think you missed him. I think you missed, huh?
No, he's on there.
Huh?
He's on there.
You sure?
Yeah, I got something on there. Hey, Red! Red! Bring your gaff hook over. Red's gonna...
Okay.
You see it yet?
Yeah, I can't see the fish. You got him? You sure you got him the way?
Yeah, he's on there. Starting to twitch.
Oh, I just barely see it. Just the tail, just a little. Oh, I see it now, but just barely underneath the decoy.
Start fighting. Got one?
Yeah, hurry up.
He's coming in.
Wait.
Big one?
No.
No, he ain't really big.
Ooh, now I can see him. Now I can see him.
He's a nice one. He's a good one.
See if you can get him out in the center of the hole more so I...
Pretty good.
Huh?
Yeah, you got pretty good, I think.
You got him pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess so.
I think you hit him in the backbone. Paralyzed him, I think.
Boy, landing a huge fish like this is really exciting. You know, this sport gets sort of addicting. It's quiet, it's dark in the shanty. It's really a different sort of experience, but one that has a real lure to it. The sturgeon are all big. Small ones are never seen, nothing under 50 inches as a rule. About 25% of a sturgeon is good edible meat, and it's excellent, as we're going to find out just a little bit later. Now, OJ and I took a tour around the ice on the snowmobile. The snow was deep on the lake, a couple feet, and many of the shanties looked alike. Now, I thought that we were back where we started, to our original shanty, and I expected to knock on the door and see Bob Garner pop out. And what happened here sort of surprised me. Crawl through too easily. You awake, Garner?
Come on in.
What, this is the wrong shanty. Who's here? Who are you?
How you doing?
Good. Well, stick your head out here so we can see you. I thought we were coming up to Garner's shanty. What's your name?
Gardener's Bill Christ.
Oh, Bill, you're Boyd's son, huh?
Nephew.
Oh. What do you got, a wood fire in here, or is that just a steam?
Just the steam in the coal.
Oh, you're warm then.
Very warm.
What are you
Come
seeing?
on in. Nothing.
Well, I tell you, my glasses will fog up, the camera will fog up, and everything else.
No, haven't seen nothing. Real slow.
Huh. How come?
No idea. They just ain't moving.
Well, why do you come out here? You know they're not moving on a day like this.
Well, they're supposed to. They're supposed to. Well,
We'll give it a listen. Where are we? Do you know?
pardon?
Oh, we must be up there. Is that us?
That's you.
Well, now we're near where the 115 pounder was taken.
That's right up there. Yeah.
Between our two shanties.
You bet. Yeah. How you doing, Scott?
Now, why did everybody move the shanties away from the spot that the 115 pounder was taken?
I guess they figured they moved out.
Huh. That's where we should be sitting. Well, not much happening with the sturgeon, but it's always interesting to get out on Black Lake with the Archambaults. Sturgeon spearing season goes until the end of February. Shanties are available for rent. Something different to do this weekend in Michigan Outdoors. If you got our December-January issue of the Outdoor Digest magazine, you undoubtedly saw this spectacular picture of Brian Zeller from Sheboygan and the 178-pound sturgeon that he took from Mullet Lake. Boy, looks like he's got it made. Trophy sturgeon on one side, his gal on the other. Oh, that looks like happiness. Now, in this same article, we have a graph here analyzing our trophy book data since 1984. What time do you get the big sturgeon? Morning is the time. 10 and 11 o'clock accounted for 44% of the trophy sturgeon. Rest of them were taken throughout the day. Now next year we're planning to videotape another sturgeon story. We'll go up to Black Lake. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. So that goes on our calendar for next February. Now let's take a look at some of the upcoming weekend events on our outdoor calendar. Tomorrow night at Bosley's Restaurant in Flushing, the Flint River chapter of the Turkey Federation is holding their first annual banquet. The Ottawa Lake Sportsman's Club is holding a wild game dinner at their clubhouse in Ottawa Lake. There's a sled dog race in Gould City Saturday and Sunday. We have several competitive shoots on Sunday, an ATA trap shoot in Carleton and at the Linden Sportsman's Club, and a 3D archery shoot at the Western Wayne Conservation Association in Plymouth Township. Also on Sunday, a gun show put on by the Lapeer Firelocks Muzzleloading Club. That's at the National Guard Armory in Lapeer. The Michigan Steelheaders have a boat and fishing show in Muskegon March 4th through the 8th in the Muskegon Mall. Waterfowl USA is holding a banquet at the Rivertown Restaurant in Calcallan. The 5th through the 8th, you'll find the Stroh's Greater Detroit Sport Fishing Expo at the Palace of Auburn Hills, a big event. And we'll be busy, of course, with our Moosehead Fishing Awards banquet this Friday night. That's tomorrow night at the Lansing Civic Center. Happy hour starts at 6, dinner at 7. Catered by Coils of Houghton Lake, and the awards program begins immediately after. Saturday night, the Lansing Civic Center will be the site of the Williams Gunsight Hunting Awards banquet. Happy hour 5:30, dinner at 6:30. Both banquets will offer tickets at the door for those of you who are still making up your minds. Now for the opening of our Michigan Outdoors TV Museum in Bath on March 7th. Renovation of the Dodge City restaurant continues. The Dodge City sign is down, and a Michigan Outdoors sign will be in its place soon. Inside, Scott Barnhart from the Barnhart Woodshop in Lambertville is installing the railings and bookcases he built for the museum. The mounts and the Michigan Outdoors cabin will be moved in within the next few days. For the past 2 years, most of the mounts have been in storage in the Outdoors Club office building and on the walls of our cabin set. That's where we keep that 5-legged deer, the most unusual deer I've ever seen. We have showcases filled with mounts to keep them protected, dioramas of fighting pheasants and spawning steelhead. They'll all be moved to the new museum opening Saturday, March 7th in Bath, and the museum will be open 7 days a week. Since the weather's been kind of crummy lately, let's take this opportunity to check out last year's outdoor fair at Houghton Lake. That event is coming up again in just a few months. Have you ever seen hunting retrievers being trained? Well, these dogs love to fetch a dummy or a duck in season, and Cindy Malski delighted the crowd during the first hour of the outdoor fair with her retriever training methods. Following the retrievers were the pointing dogs, and trainers such as Charlie Lindblade from Ann Arbor set out boxes of live quail, which exuded the kind of scent that causes a pointer to lock up. Nothing prettier than an English setter on point, except maybe a brace of English and Gordon setters that are backing each other up. To a hunter, oh, what a sight. Arnold Welsh was new to the outdoor fair. He brought together an entire hound show. Rabbit dogs, coon dogs, fox and coyote and bear hounds. The crowd got to see an array of breeds used for hunting. Bob Garner coordinated and emceed the sporting dog show, which was definitely the best ever. And how was Puppy Alley? Well, they all weren't bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but over 100 sporting dog puppies made a big hit with the crowd. Michigan Duck Hunters Association helped with the fair as usual with the annual Moosehead Duck Calling Contest and with displays on duck hunting. Larry Malski worked with Moosehead Beer in developing an ideal duck boat that Duck Hunters Association is using for educational programs about waterfowl and waterfowl hunting. The boat was at the fair, and you'll see it this fall in a feature we'll do on the hows and whys of duck hunting. Now, in the high school, the exhibitors and the crowd were able to duck the 85-degree heat on Saturday. The air-conditioned high school served as the exhibit hall where people could see products and outfitters they've seen on our TV shows. Remember when I caught that 45-pound salmon in Alaska? Well, it was on display, mounted by master taxidermist Tim Hayes, who's going to be the head taxidermist of my new taxidermy studio I'm opening this fall. Tim had an awesome display of his work from all over the world. The Livingston Archers had several bow hunter lifelike target courses wending through the woods behind the high school. These courses were for fun and for practice, as were some of the novelty shoots. Here a young lady is using a high-tech bow with a release and an overdraw, aiming at the clay target on the left.
Oh, right dead center, yeah.
Pretty fancy shooting, which proves that archery isn't just a man's sport. The long bear stood out there over 125 yards away.
Watch that one.
That looked good.
It was a good shot, a very good shot, considering the distance. In slow motion, you can see the arrow against the trees above the bear. It lands just off the mark. The idea was to put an arrow inside this small circle, which would win you the Big Bear four-wheeler donated by Hackers Yamaha of Houghton Lake, but nobody won this year. And talk about a slice of history. There it was, a living slice of history. Guy and Evelyn Swan put together the best muzzleloaders rendezvous ever. That's Guy and Evelyn at their colonial camp. You could see all kinds of colonial arts and crafts, hand weaving and carving, demonstrations of tools, and a number of handcrafted items were for sale. The participants in the Houghton Lake Rendezvous stayed in their dwellings, tents, cabins, and teepees like this one. Now, they were authentic and open to the public so we could get a flavor of life in the 1700s and 1800s in colonial America. The clothes hangers were new, though. Here's a project by some young boys. They took the bark off some fallen birches in the nearby woods and made a teepee from scratch. Now, this wasn't just a gimmick. This was an actual shelter, the kind that was used in the days of the French-Indian War. One of their battles, by the way, was reenacted at 1 o'clock each day.
Third rank, make ready. Present. Fire.
In the back of the high school, with the Indians attacking from the woods, the skirmish was frightfully realistic. And speaking of history, Ron LeClaire demonstrated longbows like Robin Hood used.
All right.
Whoa. That is accuracy. But Norm Blaker wasn't about to be outdone. He developed the trick of shooting his bow behind his back.
Go. There you go.
And not to be outdone, Norm's son Davy Blaker takes a crack at a tennis ball. Not to be outdone, I picked up a long bow and shoot at a practice golf ball, that little perforated wiffle ball type. Want to look at that again? Sure, I hit it. I've been practicing with a longbow, you know.
Yes, you're all right.
Well, I was proud of that hit, but Davy Blaker took the longbow to its limit. The target, an aspirin, small, white. You can see it against the trees as Davy lets his arrow fly.
There we go, Davy Blaker.
That was dead on, a real demonstration of hand-eye coordination. You can see it in slow motion. There's no denying it. The small tip of the arrow connected with the aspirin that was probably smaller in diameter yet. Amazing.
There we go, Davy Blaker.
Davy Blaker, an up-and-coming name in longbow shooting. And here's one of the targets used in sporting clays. It's a 90-millimeter clay pigeon, 3/4 the size of a normal trap or skeet pigeon.
Bird.
Red ball with the gun. Now Harry Reinfelder.
Bird.
Now it's my turn.
Modified. Bird.
Red ball is Michigan's sporting clays champ, shooting now at a Batu target. Flat, it sails, sometimes oddly. Red loads 2 shells as he demonstrates doubles from the hip.
Bird.
Red ball manufactures this target thrower especially for sporting clays. The narrow battus sometimes slip through the pattern. At the shooting show, we ran a little friendly competition with the shooting sports, trying to see who could shoot the fastest with the bird coming our way from behind the berm.
Bird!
Harry calls for the bird and shoots within 1 second.
Bird!
Harry Reinfelder has excellent eyesight and a quick reaction time. Now Red Ball with another test of skill. He's going to toss 4 60-millimeter pigeons himself and try to powder them all before they hit the ground. On the heels of that speed shooting is Harry Reinfelder with 8 shots.
1.
Harry Reinfelder and Red Ball. How about...
Harry Reinfelder and Red Ball dazzled the crowds with shotgun tricks, but stealing the thunder, so to speak, was this Civil War cannon. A muzzleloaders group brought this relic to the fair for the first time this year, and they said they could hit a target with relatively reliable accuracy and with plenty of oomph. Now here's 1 pound of powder with a 5-pound projectile. Watch this.
Okay, fire.
When the smoke cleared, the crowd could see the can. Here's a different camera angle.
Fire.
A 5-gallon bucket of water was flattened instantaneously. Now let's look at it in super slow motion.
Fire.
Backing it up, you can see the projectile arcing towards the target, then wham. Awesome. An awesome shooting show, an awesome outdoor fair. Boy, you should have been there. If you weren't there last year, take heart. The outdoor fair is coming up again, June 27th and 28th at Houghton Lake. We're going to have a few changes for the better. The Muzzleloaders Village is going back out by M55 by the road. Across from that, the Houghton Lake Chamber of Commerce is planning some carnival rides for the kids. We're still going to have the sporting dog show, archery event, shooting show, all of those that will make it a classic outdoor fair. Speaking of classics, here's a classic recipe from Kathy Beitler.
Bob Newman sent us a recipe for smoked fish and spinach dip, and it was a runner-up in our contest last year. Now this is the smoked fish, and it looks like it's overdone here, but actually when you break it apart, it's very, very moist. And that's the way smoked fish should be. It shouldn't be overdone and all dried out. And this has got the regular ingredients that the spinach dip does. It's so popular nowadays. You got your chopped spinach. And I think the trick to this whole recipe is draining the spinach. You want to just wring that out just as thoroughly as possible. You're going to go ahead and add that to your flaked smoked fish. And the only other spices in this is your home-style soup recipe, soup mix. Going to add sour cream and then your chopped water chestnuts. And you want to chop those quite fine because everything else in here is quite smooth. Going to add Miracle Whip just to kind of hold it together and give it the little extra taste that the sour cream doesn't. One of the nice things about this recipe is it's served in its own edible bowl. Take a loaf of your round rye pumpernickel bread and cut a hole out, and then you're going to put the dip in it. But you could use your light rye here if you didn't like the dark. And one of the nice things about this too is it's you can use any kind of vegetables that you like. Here we opted for the cauliflower and carrots and radishes, but if you wanted broccoli or just about anything else you wanted to use, you could here. And I think Bob Garner's really going to like this dip.
Dip of the year, maybe? Yeah, this one is. This one is definitely a favorite. If Popeye had had spinach like this, buddy, I tell you, he just sat around and savored it. He'd have never saved the good guys or anything. Oh, this is really delicious, especially with the smoked fish.
And the fish that's in it, I imagine you could use whitefish or
just about any smoked fish
salmon,
would do, yes. Yep.
You know, it also worked really nice with this is chunks of tuna or leftover turkey or chicken or something, especially this time of year.
Anything smoked,
I thought he was
absolutely.
going to say noodles. With noodles, this would be great.
I like noodles with everything, but I'll take half a loaf on this one.
Yeah, this is great. That recipe is a classic, an all-time favorite here on Michigan Outdoors. You can get a copy of all the ingredients, how to put it together in our Outdoor Digest magazine. The address coming up in just a moment. This is probably the last show that we're going to be doing from this location. This entire cabin is moving over to the museum tomorrow. Next week, new location, but I hope the same great shows. Get outdoors if you can this weekend. It's a great place to be. See you next week. Next week on Michigan Outdoors, we're hoping for colder weather to firm up the ice. We've been wanting to do a story on using different types of tip-ups or farm pond fishing for 1-pound bluegill, but this ice has been too iffy. If we get snow, we might do a rabbit hunt. We'll see. It all depends on the weather. But we will have a preview of the new museum just before we open the doors, so make sure you join us next week right here on Public TV.